Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to JoyNews. Today we're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're on DTT because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. This is JoyNews, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Renal Patients Association of Ghana reveals 14 of its members with kidney conditions have died between May and September after the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital ran out of supplies and restricted dialysis services to only emergency cases. We'll hear the story of 54-year-old Georgina Mensah, who is living on prayer. Also this afternoon, former President Mahama demands a waiver of taxes and duties on medical kits, such as those meant for dialysis, in the wake of public outcry over cost of treatment.
As an immediate measure, I call on the government to exempt medication and kits for dialysis treatment from taxes and duties to maintain this critical lifeline for patients whose survival depends on this treatment.
Plus, limited voter registration ends today. We will tell you how the exercise is panning out on the last day of registration across the country. And later in the bulletin, gaping potholes, stagnant rainwater and thick mud surrounding hills take over portions of the Kaswa-Accra Highway. We will hear from frustrated motorists in today's episode of Potholes Exhibition. Plus, former First Lady Theresa Kufur dies at age 87, 24 days to her 88th birthday. We'll also tell you about the sudden passing away of former Minister of State and MP for Ningo Pampram, Inokte Mensah. We have business, sports and showbiz coming up this afternoon. We're also live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram and X via JoyNews on TV. My personal handle is @Danana Aisha. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. The high cost of dialysis for people battling with kidney failure is forcing some of them to their early grave. A number of patients have told JoyNews some of their friends they used to go to the hospital together to have the dialysis are no more. They claim their deaths were as a result of their inability to afford the cost of treatment. The Korle Bu Teaching Hospital last week backtracked on an early announcement to increase the current 380 cedis cost of dialysis to 765 cedis following a public outburst. In our first episode of our latest series on Ghana's dialysis crisis, we'll tell you the story of 54-year-old kidney disease patient Georgina, who is living on prayers due to her inability to afford the treatment. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
54-year-old Georgina Pia lies in the reclined seat at a private facility, the Central Dialysis Center. She just finished her session for the week. Once a vibrant fish seller at the Tema Fishing Harbour, now confined by her kidney condition, unable to afford the lifeline she needs, regular dialysis.
I started getting the symptoms of a kidney condition when my daughter was in the first year of university. Even getting food to eat is difficult. I have to beg before I eat. My mother, who used to support me too, is also blind now. I don't have any helper. I used to sell fish at the fishing harbour and used to get support from my friends, but not anymore. You know the harsh economic conditions now. So I have to beg before I get money for my weekly dialysis at this private facility.
I
54-year-old Georgina Owusu was compelled by the closure of the dialysis center at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital to seek treatment from this private facility. She was hopeful that the dialysis center at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital would be reopened so she could go back there. But the news that she received shattered her hopes of ever going back. She says the increase of dialysis treatment from 380 cedis to 765 cedis is just like the authorities pushing her from behind into a 6-feet grave.
Bring my mom to this private facility, 460 cedis.
Her daughter, 26-year-old Stella Usu, is the only child of her mother. She says the weekly dialysis sessions have taken a toll on their finances. She says, but for friends and family members, her mother would have been dead.
When they closed in May, we were there, I think about a month later, or it didn't even get to a month. Then you are there, and then one person's picture will be sent. So and so has died. Couldn't get money to dialyze continuously because I think Korle Bu was the cheapest place, 380 cedis at that time. Other facilities were taking 500, 550 at that time. And so moving from Korle Bu, no source of income, and then you are supposed to wait 550 twice a week or 3 times a week. Most patients couldn't get it. So we've actually lost a lot of patients, both young and old. But the one I can count right now, about 12 patients since Korle Bu dialysis shut down. Because even bringing my mom to this private facility, 460 cedis twice a week, I don't even get it. So it's once a week I get for my mom. I'll call church members, I'll call friends, and then they'll contribute and I'll bring her.
Lack of proper and affordable healthcare systems is one of the reasons young people hit the streets.
Meanwhile, the Renal Patients Association of Ghana, made up of persons with kidney conditions, has revealed 14 of its members died between May and September after the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital ran out of consumables, which led to the restriction of dialysis services to only emergency cases. Members of the association say as of last Thursday, the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital was still charging the new amount of 765, contrary to claims of the CEO that a new charge has not been implemented. Maxwell Baba attended that press conference and shares excerpts from their address.
ESRD is now a prevalent menace in Ghana, and our youth, our future manpower, being most affected. Sadly, some children are being affected too. Gone are the days when ESRD was associated with just the aged. Many are the challenges, and in fact, too many are the challenges faced by the persons with ESRD. They are physical, mental, emotional, psychological, and most prevalent and crucial currently, financial challenge. A typical patient needs the service of a nephrologist, that's a kidney specialist, a dietitian, a psychologist, and in rare cases, a physiotherapist. ESRD patients ultimately require dialysis, which is a treatment needed by patients with condition to help with the performance of major functions of the kidneys, which is to remove the waste product from the body and to regulate the electrolyte balance. Patients require dialysis 3 sessions per week, that is 3 times in a week, to enable them to have some sort of a normal life. Due to limited availability of dialysis centers in the country, some patients have had to travel long distances to get access to these treatments. On Tuesday, the 26th September 2023, patients woke up to a devastating news of a price increment for dialysis from 380 Ghana cedis to 765 Ghana cedis, 14 pesos. That is over 100% increment. This caused a lot of panic, not only among renal patients and their families, but also caught the attention of the public and various media platforms. It also spiked up the ongoing public conversations that led to the withdrawal of the price increase. The Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, however, explained that the proposed price hike was due to high import duties and other tax-related factors because they no more enjoy tax exemptions as in previous years. Prior to the proposed price increase, the challenges faced by the renal units were shortages of consumables for the dialysis and breakdown of dialysis machines. Every now and then, due to the pressure on them as the number of patients kept
adding his voice to the pleas of the renal patients, former President John Dramani Mahama is calling on government to, as a matter of urgency, scrap import charges and taxes on medication and kits for dialysis services to help bring relief to the elderly. Speaking at an event to mark this year's UN International Day for the Aged, Mr. Mahama indicated government cannot be insensitive by passing on the country's economic challenges to people who depend on such critical services to survive.
April last week, when an upward adjustment in the cost of dialysis services at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital from the initial 380 cedis to 765 cedis was announced. Many, including patients, expressed disappointment with that increment. The hospital management initially blamed the upward adjustment on taxes and import duties on medications and kits for the dialysis service. The new prices were, however, suspended following public backlash. Former President John Dramani Mahama, speaking at the Aged conference organized by the Los Abuelos Foundation, called on government to exempt medication and kits for the dialysis services from the payment of taxes and other duties.
Just this week, there was an uproar when the nation's premier teaching hospital, Korle Bu, announced an increase in charges for dialysis treatment by 100%. This was threatening to put the cost of dialysis treatment out of the reach of many patients and their families. The explanation I have read from the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital cites the increase in taxes and duties of materials for dialysis treatment as the main reason for their decision to hike the price by 100%. As an immediate measure, I call on the government to exempt medication and kits for dialysis treatment from taxes and duties to maintain this critical lifeline for patients whose survival depends on this treatment. The government should not be insensitive by passing on catastrophic healthcare costs onto the people with life-threatening diseases, especially the elderly.
And the government
Here at JoyNews, we're running a series of reports on the dialysis crisis, painting a picture of how gloomy it looks out there. I've been joined by head of the health desk, Fred Smith, to tell us what this is all about. So what is the plan for the dialysis crisis?
Well, the special report you heard today on the dialysis issue is the first in a series we're running for the entire week. And on Thursday, we will end with a massive thought leadership discussion. We've put together some of the best experts you can get in Ghana and outside of Ghana to try and find a solution to this crisis, because we see the number of persons who are developing renal issues is still increasing, but access to services or the dialysis treatment is also not there. People can't afford. And from the news conference where you heard Maxwell report, the families and persons who are suffering from renal diseases are struggling, really struggling to cope with the high charges. And you recall last week, Korle Bu was forced to make a U-turn on an increase in their charges. We want to find a way out of this, innovative solutions, and to see if we can get government to intervene since this is a critical matter. That's what we're doing.
Especially when we're celebrating the aged. But unfortunately, we're hearing also that the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital is still charging the 765 cedis, which the CEO announced had not been approved by Parliament.
Yes, we need to try and find a balance, because the hospitals also procure their consumables and others, and they must account for it. Whatever penny they spend, they must account for it. And so, yes, they're also under pressure to deal with it. So this discussion we'll have on Thursday will find a way of addressing the challenge such that the facilities can comfortably treat the patients at a cost that nobody will struggle to pay.
Right. Fred Smith is head of our health desk, and definitely we will be looking for solutions on Thursday for this critical matter. It's just a matter of when it gets to you, because this can happen to anybody. Well, let's get on to other stories. Several applicants continue to troop into the Ashanti Regional Office of the Electoral Commission to participate in the ongoing limited voters registration exercise. As the registration exercise comes to an end today, new applicants queue up at the Regional EC office to get registered, despite the EC's refusal to extend the deadline for registration. Let's take you live to the Ashanti Regional EC office, where my colleague Nana Boache Adam has been interacting with some agents and applicants.
The limited voters registration exercise, which began on September 12th, comes to an end today at various registration centers across the country. We are currently at the EC's headquarters or office in the Ashanti region, where some new applicants have been trooping in to participate in the registration exercise. This is where they would be moving to participate or to get their voters registration exercise. This particular regional office of the EC is housing 5 different constituencies. We have Tafo, Menchia North, Menchia South, Bantama, and Inshaya. So you can see that some people over here, they just came in to participate in the exercise. These are applicants from Tafo, and over here applicants also from Menchia North. Over here are applicants from Menchia South. You can see applicants for Menchia South, and then applicants for the Bantama constituency, and over there are applicants for the Inshaya constituency. So this is how it looks like over here at the Ashanti Regional EC headquarters, where applicants continue to troop in to participate in the limited voters registration exercise. I have some persons here with me. I'll be engaging to find out from them how the exercise has been so far as it comes to an end today. Boss, welcome to JoyNews. How has the exercise been for you so far since it began on September 12th?
Well, it has been very, very fruitful. We've not witnessed any bad incidents, especially at the center. So we can say very good.
I'm quite surprised, because today seems to be the very last day for the registration exercise, but applicants continue to troop in to participate.
That's normal of Ghanaians. We mostly wait for the last days. That is where we become more serious in doing things. So we're not surprised for such number. And we are even expecting more. You are
expecting more as it comes to an end today?
Yeah. Because that's natural of Ghanaians. Mostly we wait for the last days before we push in to do things. So the number you see here is no surprise.
You happen to be an agent. Are you not concerned about the EC's refusal to put in an extension?
Well, yeah, we are. If they do extend, we'll be very grateful. Like I said, Ghanaian attitude. You always wait for the last day, and then at the end of the last day, if you still have people who have not registered, it's very good if you can allow them to. So if
Let's turn our attention now to the northern region, where correspondent Martina Bugri reports long queue continue to be seen at registration centers as the EC closes its limited registration exercise. Most people who are yet to take their turns are worried that if there are any challenges today, their dream of voting in the 2024 elections will be dashed. We can speak with Martina right now. Martina, what can you report from where you are?
From where I am, there's at the 2 centers that I've visited in the Tamale metropolis or the cities. We have very long queues. People came in as early as 4 a.m. this morning so that we can have a chance to vote. Somebody I spoke to, she came in the morning around 4, and she's even yet to get a number to go inside where they are supposed to do the registration. And so when you speak to most people who have come, they are worried that there's the likelihood they will not be able to register because of the long queues they are seeing. Now, those who could not register yesterday when it was time, they had to close. So a lot of people from yesterday are here today to vote, to register, And then we have people who would always wait for the last minute visit the centers to register. And so you have very huge numbers, especially the metro office where you have the Tamale Central and then Tamale South doing the registration.
Atina Bugri there reporting from Tamale in the northern region, bringing us up to speed as to what is happening. We can now go to Ivy Setoji, who has also been monitoring the exercise for us in the Volta region. Ivy, is the situation different in the Volta region? Right, we lost Ivy Setoji there. Definitely we'll get you more of this as the EC closes the limited registration exercise in our subsequent bulletins. Let's take you now to one of the busiest roads that connects the western and central regions to the capital, the Kaswa-Accra Highway. Sadly, the once glorious stretch has lost its glory. Gaping potholes, stagnant rainwater, and mud from surrounding hills have taken over portions of the road, forcing commuters to spend hours in traffic on a trip that would have ordinarily lasted a few minutes. JoyNews' Rosina Safo has more in today's episode of our Potholes exhibition series.
A few meters from the Kaswa toll booth is a stagnant pool of water, more like a naturally created government's flagship project. One district, one dam. The problem, however, is that the irrigation potential of this particular dam, created by cascading rainwater and mudslides, is not being tapped as it sits right in the middle of the road. Drivers navigating this stretch must drive with caution, mindful of the peril that awaits them if they speed up. With each rainfall, the asphalt on this stretch is covered with thick sludge from surrounding hills. Frustrated residents say for years, successive governments have looked on without providing a permanent solution to the problem.
From Tobu to Nankasangasa de Bahan, you try 6 hours. And here the Monkanchira Womo. Ghana Penifono Mudri Homon Faho, no my father Leno, no my so hazard, Eddie Siso, wow, no more Fabi. Nanquamo Fa no more Taminum, and no moon the way quantity.
Yesterday, we spent 6 hours in traffic from the toll booth to this point. Our leaders don't use this stretch each time it rains. They rather put on their sirens and use the other lane. If they were compelled to use this stretch to have a feel of how we spend so much money fixing our tires, probably they would ensure that this issue is addressed.
Before Hapa, I then Ghana, Ecosa, me break man, I bet you as see, maybe I do a big nature, big mama.
Top government officials own houses around this place, but they keep mute and watch us suffer. Just now, my brake band came off. I have to buy a new one.
Ghana, in 24/7, and then who the Omoya Mayan. I fear be a etmiji. I fear be a Omoya Shen Fahu.
I honestly don't see what the government is doing to help us as citizens. Every year during the rainy season, this is what we endure. Government needs to construct a huge drain to channel excess water and then get a professional to see how we can prevent the mud from clogging our drains.
The drains designed to channel excess water are now clogged with mud and overgrown weeds. Right before my eyes, a vehicle got stuck, trapped in the mud, a testament to the unforgiving nature of the road.
This stretch is a very busy stretch. And ordinarily, it's the only stretch that takes you from the central region to the Greater Accra region with ease. It's a major highway, and just few meters away from this point was the once vibrant toll booth that served as a source of income and revenue to government. So, even as I struggle to pull out my feet from the mud, the big question is, where did all that money go to? Well, obviously I can't help this gentleman, but then hopefully government can do something to help him by getting this road fixed.
John is a contractor under the Ministry of Roads and Highways. His job is to desilt the drains and gather the mud from the road each time it rains. But he laments he has not been paid for the past 4 years.
Enka first na enka nsuo to ye na no enka ahomache se wo baka bana ye nwie ya enka ya clear kwan no mu nyina eyi gata ni mu na bet mami for the past 4 good years 2 months ya ye adwuma we am highways 4 good years 2 months mu na ye koyi omuntu ya yeka.
Initially, when it rains, we quickly bring in our machines to pack the mud from the road. But for the past 4 years, 2 months, we have not been paid by the Highways Authority.
The Ghana Highway Authority has commenced pothole repairs on the Tema-Accra-bound stretch of the Tema motorway days after JoyNews highlighted the perilous conditions faced by motorists due to the abundance of the potholes. A visit to the road by JoyNews Monday morning revealed some progress with some of the potholes newly patched with bitumen. Notably, the persistent traffic congestion caused by the deteriorated road surface near the La Papla Bridge has substantially improved. However, a number of potholes on the Tema-Accra bound section remain unresolved. JoyNews is closely monitoring the situation to ensure the safety and convenience of commuters. In the Volta region, many communities in the southern parts of the Volta region have been flooded due to the spillage of the Akonsombo and Kpon dams. There are fears of more communities being affected if the spillage continues. In a statement by the VRA, it said the decision to spill is as a result of consistent rise in the Volta Lake due to heavy rains. I'd like to bring you some more details on exactly how these communities are being affected. But first, here's a recap of the general flooding situation in parts of Volta from recent downpours. Well, we'll bring you that report later in the bulletin. But on a rather sad note, Ghana is mourning the death of former First Lady, Mrs. Theresa Kufur, who passed away yesterday. Mrs. Kufur was Ghana's First Lady between 2001 and 2008 when her husband, John Ejekun Kufur, was president. She maintained a relatively low profile as First Lady, but stayed even further away from the public limelight in recent times due to a prolonged illness. During her time as First Lady, she established the Mother-to-Child Community Development Foundation, which aimed at promoting the healthy development of children and prevention of transmission of diseases from mothers to their offsprings. Madame Theresa married John Kufur when he was at age 23 after they met at a Republic Day anniversary dance in London in 1961. They got married in 1962, and she has 5 children with former President John Kufur. Now, family and friends have been thronging their family home to pay their last respect and sympathy to the family for the loss. Eche Sikanku is there for JoyNews. He joins me with more. Eche, What can you tell us from the family house of the late Theresa Kufur? We've lost H.A. Skanku there. We'll bring him back to tell us what exactly is happening at the family house of the late Madam Theresa Kufur, former First Lady. But right now, let's go to the Ketu in the Volta region, where MP for Ketu South, Ablan Gomashi, is concerned about the plight of her constituents. She says the situation has been compounded by the spillage of the excess water from the Konsombo Dam. She calls for an urgent government intervention.
I have 3 traditional areas in Ketu South, and each of them has flooding. So the levels to which this disaster has reached now is not one that I've ever heard of or seen in my almost 60 years on this earth. And when I speak to the old people, nobody has seen this kind of thing before. I, however, recall that in 2021, the year of my inauguration into Parliament, I did indicate when the tidal waves came that it was important for the state to invest some money in for a temporary shelter, so that when this disaster happens, we will have a place where we can keep the people so they can have a decent living, somewhere they can sleep and wake up and go to the washroom and do the regular things that all of us are able to do. Unfortunately, we're in 2023, and I have not seen either the minister, well, the president, his vice president, or any of the ministers who this affects directly. The Volta Regional Minister, Minister for Works and Housing, and Minister for Finance. You see, we've been left alone. Even NADMO, set up by the state, to address disaster, national disaster. They have just been writing names from one household to the other, compiling names for 2 years. There's nothing that I have not done. There's no door I have not knocked on. But this situation that we have right now is not one that an individual, a member of parliament who has a common fund that is trickling in, can do.
We can now go back and speak to H.A. Skanku, who is in the family house of the former First Lady, Madam Theresa Kufur, who passed away yesterday. Mrs. Kufur was Ghana's First Lady between 2001 and 2008, when her husband, John Ejekun Kufur, was president. She maintained a relatively low profile as First Lady, but stayed even further away from the public limelight in recent times due to a prolonged illness. H.A. Skanku, if you can hear me, what can you report from the family house?
Thank you, Aisha. It's a very, very solemn mood this morning, but then there's a bit of activity going on here at this time with a number of current and former government officials trooping in to commiserate with the former president. At this point, what we can report and confirm is that the family is in a bit of an enclave, trying to have a family meeting, taking care of the traditional things that have to be taken care of. And at the right time, an official statement would be released to the public. But as you can see, that's the president's residence right behind me. And every now and again, people would come in. The police are here doing their duty. Some MTTU officials were here earlier on, clearing people who would come in, and once you've been cleared by the police, they would allow you to enter.
Speak with any member of the family?
So far, one representative came out. He said no official interviews for now. The former president, obviously, a very hard time for him, not ready to speak at this current moment. So there's nothing really official except informal conversations with the journalist here telling us that this is what is happening. She has been a very, very strong pillar near the side of the former president throughout these years, a woman of dignity, a woman of honor. And it is in that sense that they want to honor her legacy, very modest as she has been, and that is the tone and the tenor that they would want to moving forward.
Right, H.A. Sekanko is there for JoyNews, and of course we'll be monitoring events there and bring you more from the family of the late former First Lady. Meanwhile, member of the Council of State and former Ningo Prampram MP Enoch Mensah has also died at age 77. He died Sunday evening in South Africa, where he was receiving health care. The member of National Democratic Congress, E.T. Mensah, served in various capacities such as Minister for Education, Minister for Youth and Sports, Mayor of Accra, and representative of the Council of State for the Greater Accra Region. E.T. Mensah was elected as a member of Parliament of the Second Parliament of the Fourth Republic of Ghana during the 1996 general election. He retained his seat as a Ningo Prampram MP until 2016, when he lost the NDC's parliamentary primary to Samuel Nate George. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Let's take a break on JoyNews today. When we return, we'll bring you business. Time now for business. The Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana has called for the appointment of marketing professionals to lead the revival of poor-performing state-owned institutions. Its president, Dr. Daniel Kasati, made the call at the 34th CIMG National Awards ceremony in Accra.
The 34th Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana's annual National Awards honored over 50 companies and individuals for the outstanding marketing performance in 2022. The prestigious award saw various men and women as well as companies recognized for using effective marketing to champion the growth of companies, product and goodwill causes, even under the very tiring periods of global economic challenges. Here's the national president of CIMG, Dr. Daniel Kasati, who called for the appointment of marketing professionals to stir a revival of poor-performing state-owned enterprises.
Ghana has over the years been grappling with poor-performing state-owned enterprises. We can count very few of such institutions that have behaved differently and stood out very tall among their peers. I have previously advocated for the appointment of marketers, or at least people who understand the essence of marketing, at the helm of poorly performing institutions, particularly these state-owned ones. History points us to the good work that our good old Professor Stephen Adair did at GIMPA.
Special guest of honor, Professor Abednego Damate, urged government captains of industry to use marketing as a tool to champion economic recovery.
Marketing is not merely about selling products or services. It is not a propaganda. It is a multifaceted tool that can drive economic recovery by fostering innovation, promoting customer-centric policies, creating new opportunities, adapting to changing consumer behaviors, leveraging digital technologies. Marketing can play a pivotal role in revitalizing economics and helping businesses emerge stronger.
Marketing Man of the Year and CEO of GB Foods, Mr. David Aflu, spoke to Joy Business after the event.
We really reviewed the entire marketing mix. So from your products, how they are formulated, how they are packaged, how they are sized, to your sourcing, to your pricing, to your value chain in terms of your whole route to market. And we did a lot of investment, for example, behind our brands, behind our, in our sourcing. We had to make some major changes in our sourcing to be able to get some significant efficiencies.
Players in the e-commerce space have called on government to invest in cybersecurity to ensure a vibrant e-commerce sector. According to them, building resilient cyber-secured systems and effective collaborations with stakeholders will be critical in actualizing the needed growth. Here's a report from the second National E-commerce Forum and Exhibition organized by GIZ.
The second edition of the National E-commerce Forum and Exhibition is a GIZ initiative which seeks to assemble players in the e-commerce sector to deliberate and brainstorm on the growth of the sector. The e-commerce sector in Ghana has witnessed continuous growth over the last few years. As of 2022, the penetration rate of the market stood at 27.4%. Analysts say the rate could increase to about 37% in 2027. Speaking at the forum, the head of technical at the National Information Technology Agency, NITA, Solomon Richardson, called for improved regulation to reduce online fraud.
One of the ways that we are trying to also prevent that on a platform like that, nobody should just go and then just sign up like 1, 2, 3 at that. When you want to sign up, you sign up with your national ID. So it's one of the regulations that we are now trying to come up with, that you as a provider will not allow anybody to sign up on your platform without a national ID or the approved identification system. Then what will happen is that you are now able to track some of these activities. Anybody who is signing up onto your platform, you have to sign up with your national ID, and then for those without a national ID, probably a passport, which can easily be verified, and then you have the details tied to certain numbers, and so when something goes wrong, you're able to do a proper auditing.
The president of the Ghana Fintech and Payments Association, Martin Awaga, spoke against the introduction of taxes on e-commerce transactions, warning that it will stifle growth.
We have a lot of properties around Ghana or in Ghana that are not taxed. This is something that I think calls for revenue measures, and so government should look at some of this other additional source of income than taxing a nascent or new industry that is now trying to emerge or providing opportunities for every other spectrum of the economic ladder.
That does it for business. Up next is sports.
Let's do sports now on JoyNews today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. The Ghana Football Association has announced that it will go ahead with its elective General Assembly in Tamale later this month, despite injunction trials on the Football Association's elections. The GFA, in a statement on Monday, said that it has temporarily moved its secretariat to Tamale to prepare for the elections, which is expected to happen on a Thursday. Kurt Okreku, incumbent president of the Ghana Football Association, is contesting for the position of the FA presidency unopposed following the disqualification of George Afriyie from vying for the position of Ghana Football Association president. George Afriyie was disqualified by the elections committee of the Ghana Football Association for failing to secure the required endorsements for his candidature as he seeks to head the football governing body. He went on appeal, but that appeal was also dismissed by the appeals committee. However, there are injunction trials from the camp of George Afriyie, who has filed for an application for injunction on the elections at the Accra High Court Human Rights Division, where he claims that his human right to fair hearing was impeded on by the Elections Committee and the Appeals Committee. He's also gone ahead to file for an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, though the Court of Arbitration for Sport has told Joy Sports on Monday morning that it is yet to receive nor register an appeal filed by George Afriyie. One thing that Joy Sports understands is that the Ghana Football Association would go ahead to organize the elections because The tenure of the current leadership of the Ghana Football Association is expected to end on October 25. So if the court processes goes beyond October 25, it means that the leadership of the Ghana Football Association under Ket Okreko would not have the required laws to govern the affairs of football in the country. Hence, the lawyers of the Ghana Football Association have asked them to go ahead and organize the elections despite the applications for injunctions filed by Kim Faisal and George Efree. That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. Up next.
Time to get into showbiz, and Ho Technical University has been crowned winners for the maiden edition of the culinary show on Joy Prime, beating Kumasi and Takoradi Technical University to winning the maiden edition of Big Chef Tertiary. Yes, all this thing happened in the Ho Technical University, and it was more of a host to win. This is a report packaged by the entertainment desk. After 12 weeks of battling for the bragging rights of the best in the kitchen, Ho Technical University, which has been adjudged 4 times as the Star School of the Week, have emerged the overall winners of the first season of the Big Chef Tertiary, running away with a 20,000 Ghana cedi, 10,000 liter Syntex tank, together with other amazing prizes from sponsors of the show.
So the moment is here, and the ultimate winner for the first edition of Big Chef Tertiary is Ho Technical University.
The show had 18 contestants representing 6 technical universities: Accra Technical University, Ho Technical University, Kufur Technical University, Cape Coast Technical University, Kumasi Technical University, and Takoradi Technical University. 3 out of these 6 technical universities made it to the finals: Kumasi Technical University, Takoradi Technical University, and Ho Technical University. The show, which was sponsored by Frito, Fortune Rice, Indomie, Syntex Tank, and Access Bank, now have their overall winner, Ho Technical University. So the 10,000 liter tank is going to Ho Technical University, and the 20,000 Ghana cedi to the 3 contestants from the hotel department in Ho Technical University. Now let's turn our attention to the foreign front, what is happening in showbiz elsewhere on the global front. Okay, so after 27 years, the murderer of Tupac Shakur has been arrested in the person of Dwayne Davis. And this happened somewhere over the weekend, and the Metro Police Department in Las Vegas held a quick press conference. And this is so Dwayne is being arranged to make his first court appearance on the 4th of October this month. That is just Wednesday. And proceedings will be brought to you. So just keep a look in the space. And that is all time will permit us here on Showbiz Now on JoyNews today. The name is Ibrahim Ben-Bako, and I think it's Aisha, back to you. My name is Aisha Ibrahim, but it's good news that definitely the perpetrators have been arrested. I hope that can be emulated in Ghana. No matter how long it takes, they must bring the perpetrator to book. Justice must be served. Definitely, it's very important. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Hi, Dad.